Hey, fifth grade. How's it going? Today is Friday, July 30th, 2020. Today we're going to be continuing to learn how to add and subtract fractions, and we're going to practice by using a Quiziz. So, let's get started. As you know, boys and girls, when we add or subtract fractions, we need to have the same denominator, okay? So this is kind of a joke just to get the class started. If you are subtracting 4/6 minus 1/6, it could obviously not be 3 over 0 because the 6 needs to stay the same in the denominator spot, right? So this could never ever happen. As you remember from last time, there were many steps that we had to follow to try to convert that denominator into the same exact number, right? So make sure you look back on the previous videos if you don't understand this concept. For example, on page 55, letters E and F, we had to multiply by different numbers to get the same denominator. As you'll notice on page 56, we also continued that problem, and I'm going to continue with page 56 today. Before we get to that page, I just want to remind you that there are three major steps that we need to follow in order to add or subtract fractions. First step is find the common denominator, similar to what we did on page 55. The common denominator here is 30 in problem letter E and F. The second step is add or subtract, and the third step is simplify. Today you'll also notice that we need to take that whole number and add it to a fraction to get our improper fraction. Okay, that's going to be very important in one of our steps, and I'll share that a little bit later in the last couple of problems. Okay, so just a little recap from last time when we were subtracting 7/8. We took 7/8 minus 3/4, but we needed to find the same common denominator. Okay, we did this problem last time, so I'm not going to do it again. But I'd like you to just understand that when we take our denominator and we try to find the same denominator, that common denominator, boys and girls, we need to multiply both of the numbers, the numerator and the denominator, by the same number. In this case, it would have been multiplied by 2. Okay, so that our fourths changes to eighths, and then we can just continue to subtract like normal, right? And then for our next problem, 5/6 minus 1/12, we would multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So 5/6 is the same as 10/12. We subtract like normal. 10 minus 1 is 9. So our answer is 9/12. But just like I said, we need to simplify that last answer, that's step 3, and our final answer would have been 3/4. Okay, so let's actually jump right into problem letter C. Problem letter C says 9/10 minus 1/2. So what would we do to try to make sure that both of those have the same denominator? Well, I know that 9/10 has 10 as our denominator, so I'm going to convert this 2 to tenths as well. How do I change 2 to 10? Well, I need to multiply it by 5. So I'm going to multiply 2 by 5 and also multiply 1 by 5. 1 times 5 is 5, and 2 times 5 is 10. All right, now I have my denominators for both problems the same. What I can do is just subtract like normal. 9 minus 5. 9 minus 5 equals 4. And our denominator stays the same, 10. However, 4/10 is not simple. So how do we simplify that fraction? Well, we find the common factor. So 4 and 10 both have 2 as a common factor. Let's divide 4 by 2 and divide 10 by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my final answer is 2/5. You'll notice that 2/5 is the same as 4/10. Those are called equivalent fractions. But the better answer would be 2/5 because that's a simple fraction. Let's go on to letter D. 11/12 minus 2/3. Well, if I take 2/3 and I try to represent this as 12ths, what I could do is just separate this box out into 12 sections. It's already separated into 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. So each one of those boxes, again, is going to be needed to be broken up into 4 sections. So break this first one into 4, and the second one into 4, and the third one into 4 sections. I know that 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. So if I count these sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I now have 8 12ths. Okay, that's the same amount of space as 2/3. So 2/3 and 8 12ths are equivalent fractions. There's another way I could solve that if I really wanted to. I could multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So for example, I could multiply 3 times 4 and 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12. All right, now I have the same denominator, 12ths, for both of my fractions. Question, what is 11 minus 8? It's 3. So we keep our same denominator, which is 12, but just like the previous problem, we need to simplify. What can we simplify 3 12ths by? Well, a common factor would be 3. So let's divide 3 by 3, and let's divide 12 by 3. 3 divided by 3 equals 1, and 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So 1/4 is your final answer. All right, boys and girls, please check those answers to make sure that they're okay. Again, I have the problems right here. These are the problems that we did in class. Make sure you divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number in order to simplify. Let's go on to the next problem, letter E. Now these are a little bit more complicated because we have whole numbers. You'll see the whole number is represented right here. 1 1/2 minus 3/4. Well, I know that 1 is the same thing as any number over itself. It could be 3/3, it could be 7/7, it could even be a number as big as 100/100. And in fact, all of those equal 1. So it's not really bigger or smaller. So if we know that any number over itself equals 1, we can convert that whole number into a fraction. So what should we do? Well, let's take a look at our denominator to see if we can find out what the 1 should equal. I see 2 right here. So 2/2 also equals 1. Since I know that 2/2 equals 1, what I can do is just add 2/2 plus 1/2, which equals 3/2. You'll notice I just added 2 plus 1. Now, I'm going to subtract. But if I subtract 3/2 minus 3/4, I still don't have the same denominators. So I really can't go to that step yet. So what should I do with 3/2 in order for it to be the same denominator as 3/4? Well, let's multiply by a number to get fourths. 2 times what number equals fourths? 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. So 3 times 2 equals 6. Now you're probably thinking, 6/4, what's up with that? Why does it look so strange? Well, that's an improper fraction, and that's okay. 6/4 is the same as 3/2. Those are equivalent fractions. Now we can just subtract like normal. We have 6/4 minus 3/4. 6 minus 3 equals 3. And our 4 stays the same in our denominator. 3/4 is our final answer. All right, what I'd like you to do is pause the video to try to see if you can do letter F on your own. All right, hopefully you paused the video, boys and girls, and you're able to do that last problem on your own. Let's try it. Letter F. Well, I know that 1 is the same thing as any number over itself. It could be 5/5. It could be 10/10. And since I'm going to be adding it to 1/10, I'm going to change it to 10/10. So I know that 10/10 plus 1/10 equals 11/10. Now I'm going to subtract like normal. 11/10 minus 3/5. Uh-oh, we have a problem. We can't subtract or add until our denominators are the same. So what should I do with 3/5 to make it the same, have it the same denominator as 11/10? Well, just like before, we would multiply both the numerator and denominator by the same number. So what should we do to get to tenths? Well, I know that 5 times 2 equals 10. So 3 times 2 is going to equal 6. 6/10. Now I can subtract like normal. My first fraction was 11/10. In other words, 11/10 is the same thing as 1 and 1/10. So we have 11/10 minus 6/10. Okay, and remember 6/10 is the same thing as 3/5. And we just subtract like normal. 11 minus 6 is... Oops, what was that? Gotta get the right color. Here we go. Oops, it's not letting me... Right, here we go. Okay, well, here we go. 11 minus 6 is 5. Let me see if I can write this. It's not letting me write it for some reason. All right, 5/10. It's not going to let me write on the screen. I'm not really sure why. Let me just go like this. Clear that out. Okay. Let me try this one more time. I think it's because I changed the color. Here we go. Okay, so we had 11/10, which was the same as this, minus 6/10. Okay, 11 minus 6 is 5. But we can also simplify this fraction. 5/10 equals the same as, well, if we divide both sides by 2, we're going to come up with 1/2. Okay, so your final answer for letter F is 1/2. All right, if you're understanding these problems, that's great. We're able to go on next week to a little bit more complex problems. If you don't understand, I'd really encourage you to look back on the previous problems that we've done inside of these lessons. And what we're going to do today, boys and girls, is just show you a Quiziz. Okay, this Quiziz is something that we did in class today. And it's something, I think, that gives me a better understanding of how well you understand this topic. For example, Jimena, both Jimenas, were able to show me that 3/9 plus 4/9 equals 7/9. Nice job, girls. The next problem, Hector was able to show me that 3/5 plus 1/4 is equal to 17/20. He converted the fifths to 20ths and the fourths to 20ths, and then just added. Okay? So congratulations to all the students who were able to complete this Quiziz and show me their knowledge of the topic. We're going to continue this and other activities next week, and I appreciate your participation in today's lesson. So we will see you next week. Thanks, boys and girls. Have a great weekend.